Hey guys, it's quote unquote your boy, Baldface8020, back again with another great response video. I think in the last case video I did, I called it a great commentary, not a great response video. I'm not sure if that's the first time I've ever made that mistake. Um, so anyway, Casey showed some growth in the last video, so I guess, for every two steps forward, you got to take one step back because he's going back to the stoicism well in this one. And it's weird that he would release a video saying that women don't care about your masculine frame, and then the very next video he says that 5 stoic traits that all masculine men must internalize to be attractive. It seems, I mean, technically there's not really a contradiction between the two, but not in the least in the letter necessarily. You could see how both of those things could be true, but it seems like in spirit it's a contradiction, since his whole last video was you don't stress about that shit, you just go out there and make money. And that was the TLDR version of his last video. Go out there and make money, and then women will come to you. And since you've got everything you need, including plenty of women who are interested, if some woman gives you shit, you don't have to care because she's so relatively so replaceable. That's what he said in so many words. One of my viewers pointed out to me that Casey no longer is referring to himself as Uncle C, and he's not doing the fist slap anymore. So those are two other signs of maturity. He's also, I've noticed he's not really doing a lot of stuff in front of the whiteboard. He still does some. I think he really just kind of grew out of it. I'm assuming that like Cole or some of his mentors or something talked to him and said, "Look, the hand slap doesn't work." But another part of it is that he's just, like I said, he's growing up and changing. Remember, he is only 26, so he's like, as he's continues to evolve, he probably got this thing where like, okay, it's kind of childish to keep doing this, or maybe he's not even embarrassed about it. Maybe he just isn't interested in doing it anymore, or it could be part of a deliberate sort of rebrand. I don't know. You never really know what's going on with Casey. But anyway, in this video, we're back on the stoicism wagon, saying that so all masculine men must internalize these traits to be attractive. All right, let's get going.
Video is going to be one of the most impactful I've ever produced.
Well, nothing you've ever said has been impactful at all. So it's not really saying anything. It's like saying like it's like going out and making $1, but like in the rest of your life you had never made any money. So it's like, well, today I made $1, which is the most money I've ever made in a day, because I've never made any money in any day before. It's like it's not, you didn't really, like, technically it's true, but it doesn't mean anything.
I've titled it The Top 5 Traits, or the Top 5 Things that Stoic Men Need in Order to Truly Internalize Good Masculine Concepts that makes you an attractive man, that makes you a man worthy, and that makes you a man that's able. Okay? The reason...
Yeah, hold on. I'm a little confused. He said, did he say 5 Stoic traits? In the title says 5 Stoic traits all masculine men must internalize. I think he just said these are 5 traits so you will internalize. So becoming masculine. So there seems to be some, cause and effect confusion here. I'm like really lost. So I don't know if he just misspoke there or he's just an idiot.
The reason why I think these 5 points are going to be some of my best content I've ever produced, which is up for debate, and that's a big claim because there's hundreds of videos on this channel, but I feel that way because this is going to give you guys an inside look at how I think, and an inside look at how I am, and an inside look as what got me to where I am today and made me the man that you see in front of you. Now,
can an 8,000-year-old herb really increase your T, lower your body fat, and maximize your bedroom performance?
I don't know.
I'm jet lagged and I'm tired, and I realize I'm in an old Cancun hoodie and look like shit. bear with me. The content's still going to be good. You're still going to get a lot out of this. And where a lot of this is coming from is the results that I'm seeing from some of the guys that I've released inside of the Freedom Academy this month. So, like, I'm getting real live screenshots like this. Like Nick the other day, he goes, in my first month of being in Freedom Academy, I just made $400 passively. This opportunity is amazing, and literally anyone can do this. Like when I see guys.
See, that's like, I'm still open-minded about the Freedom Academy thing. Maybe a little less open-minded than I was before this video, but I've talked about this, I think, even in my last video, where I get really nervous with like money stuff, like with like any type of entrepreneurship stuff, is when they have that anybody can do it thing. That was, I mentioned this job, if you want to call it that I was interviewing for. Wasn't really interviewing for it per se. I had already had the interview, but I was in our first group meeting, and there were all these, dumb working class people of all races in it, and it was like, and they were so excited. Like, you're getting so like, yeah, I really can't wait to work on this and get this going. And I could just tell from hearing them speak that they weren't going to make it. That, they weren't going to be able to make it. And instead, and the people at the top were saying stuff like, oh yeah, that's the right attitude. Let's go get this shit. And like, it just like, I could just tell that it was, maybe it wasn't legally a scam. I'm not going to say the name of the company, but like, really, it was like, and it was a thing where like, what you're probably going to say, because this same company, you can find some people online on YouTube who've worked with it. I'll tell you that it's insurance sales. I'm not going to say anything else. It's an insurance sales MLM. There are people online who've gone with the company and have made like a lot of money. And I'm not saying that that's not true. So it's not a scam in that sense that everybody's not going to make money, because some people will make it. But these are people who, again, if you watch them on TV, they were going to make it somewhere anyway. So it wasn't like, I'm glad the program worked for them, but it wasn't anything necessarily magical about the program. And just because it worked for these people doesn't mean it's going to work for everybody or even most people. It certainly won't. And but that's kind of the problem. That's like with these things they always do. All these things that are like selling you. I know with an MLM, they're not really selling you per se, but they're selling you like a way to make money. Say like, you remember like those ads, and again, I'm sorry, I know I've talked about it before, those ads like, hey, I'll show you how to like sell these wolf mugs and you'll make so much money doing that. These courses, like everything they say in those courses are true. If you follow the courses, you have the potential to make a lot of money working from home or whatever, have financial freedom. And that's all good. The problem is not the information that they're selling. The problem is that they charge a substantial amount of money to people, and the overwhelming majority, the people are not going to be able to make it. They will not make it. Some people will buy it and just put it aside, and nothing you can do about that. But there's also people who are going to buy it, who are going to try to implement the stuff and aren't going to be able to succeed. And it would be okay if that was some of the people, but when it's most of the people, you've got a problem. You've got a problem with your product. Even if, like, you look, the information in here is actually good. Mm-hmm. And that's my fear of what Casey's doing with Freedom Academy. That's been my concern. To his credit, he has had a cap on it. He said he's not, he said in his most recent video, he said, I'm not going to let it go over 250 people. But I will add some, like, poor man's Freedom Academy for the people who can't get into the 250 to kind of, because it's Casey, you gotta, there's always a extra grift angle. But, yeah, again, that's my concern about this whole Freedom Academy thing.
Guys getting results like this are having testimonials every single day. Like, take a look at Mitch. He goes, first conversion came in when I was sleeping. I literally just made money in my sleep. So much hype so much hype about that, he says. When guys internalize.
He actually said so hype about that. You see, okay, so we've got another problem with Freedom Academy, and this is what I didn't realize in the last video. I have to say I'm disappointed, and I'm disappointed in Casey, and I'm disappointed in myself for being surprised enough to be disappointed in Casey. So the impression that I'm getting, and I'm not saying that this is all that Freedom Academy is, but the impression that I'm getting is that Freedom Academy, a part of what Freedom Academy is affiliate marketing, like AKA, I mean not AKA, affiliate marketing along the lines of what Andrew Tate has been doing. And I don't understand exactly how it works. But like if you're somebody who succeeds in that, you can generate quote unquote passive income. Passive income is another thing I get really nervous when I start to hear it. I'm not saying it's all bullshit. I believe these screenshots. I believe Casey really has been letting these guys make some passive money. And, it's kind of benefiting them both. It's, Casey presumably is getting more hits, more traffic, more money for his bullshit snake oil. But it's like anything. It's like basically everything with Casey's been doing has always been like a pyramid structure. And I'm not even sure he knows it because, he started out doing real estate. That's real work. Then he went and started his own fitness business. That's real work. But then he started hooking up with guys like Goggins and Ovens and the Wolf Mug guy. And, and it might just be a case of that Casey's just been exposed to some bad influences. But those guys are totally it's not that those guys are pyramid schemes, but Ovens essentially tells you go and start your own course. So Ovens' course is the way you make money is by finding something you can do a course in and selling it. And yeah, you can, but it gets to the problem is that most people aren't going to be able to do that. And Casey seems like he's kind of bought into all of that, and this is him applying it and copying from what Tate did. And look, I do have some respect for what Tate's done as a businessman, but Tate, like a lot of the stuff he's done businessly is skeezy. Like doing a webcam channel or whatever, that's one thing. It's nothing to be proud of, but that takes like some real entrepreneurship and business acumen. But then when you start doing like the things of like these sort of like affiliate multi-level things, that is, even that takes business acumen to successfully rip people off. But it kind of is what it is. So maybe some of these guys are getting scraps, getting that passive income. But in the real world, passive income is not the way to independence. Not for most people. Generally, money is something you have to work for, unfortunately.
Lies. These traits I'm about to show you in this video, and they actually apply them to their life. Just like the results of the guys that are getting inside of the Freedom Academy, when they do that, they start to up level, they start to become full stack. It is your duty as a man to actually put severe amounts of pressure on your financial success. You have to take that seriously. The only way to get to where you want to be, the only way to live.
I'm sorry, wasn't this video supposed to be about attracting women? In fairness, he doesn't actually say attracting women, but that's kind of the implication, right? Maybe he's going to get to that. Oops.
Your dream life. The only way to uplevel your status, the only way to be a competent man, you have to develop money-making skills that help you get ahead. And that's why I highly recommend you joining that Freedom Academy so that way you can become financially free just like the guys that you're seeing. But nevertheless, I want to share with you these 5 things. These 5 things have been inspired from my last couple posts on Twitter. Okay, and these posts, they didn't go super viral, but they got a few retweets and they were actually super impactful. So the first that I want to show you, the very first.
Well, not to be like too much of a spurg or to nitpick too hardly, but how exactly, if they didn't go viral, how are they impactful? How are we measuring this? What makes them impactful? Does he just mean that they were valuable? Because again, if they didn't they didn't get a lot of retweets, if there wasn't a lot of virility, I know that's not a word, then that would seem like they weren't impactful, right? I guess you would say they were impactful on the people who read it, who actually read them, but I don't know how you would measure that or how he would determine that.
First masculine point, the stoic trait that you need is going to be self-reliance. Okay?
Nothing to do with Stoicism whatsoever. Absolutely not. Again, I would say it probably runs contrary to Stoicism. Another thing is I would disagree that self-reliance is. Nah, you know what? That would be too much of a nitpick. I was about to say that it's not really a masculine trait, and no, it kind of is. It kind of is. So I'm actually gonna give Casey that one. I'm not gonna go on that. But no, nothing to do with Stoicism. I'm like all for becoming more self-reliant. At least to a point. Again, at some point, it gets to a point of like how self-reliant do you want to be? I mean, because there's a limit to unless you like. I mean, to truly be self-reliant, you would have to like move out to the woods and you know farm, just never see the rest of society whatsoever, and just live off the land. And that's not practical for most people. So there's a degree of how self-reliant you want to be. I don't think that Casey means it in an impractical sense, but there is a limit of exactly how self-reliant you can be or that you should be. We'll hear what Casey has to say more about it, but it has nothing to do with Stoicism. It really doesn't. It just doesn't. And I would actually say seeking self-reliance would be counterproductive to Stoic practice.
Here's why this was inspired by my Twitter. I go, whether someone cares about you or not does not change your situation. You can't pay your bills in good feelings, okay? The reason why the first Stoic trait that you need is self-reliance is because far often men make too many excuses that just don't matter. They make
What does that have to do with the tweet in question?
so many excuses that don't matter. They say, well, I don't have the support of good friends. I don't have the support of my
Oh, okay. All right.
family. I don't have the support of followers online, right? My boss doesn't support me. My girlfriend doesn't support me. Who gives a shit? Do you support yourself? Are you strong enough and are you self-reliant enough to support yourself? Because I don't need anybody to believe in me. I don't need anybody to want me to win. I don't need anybody to want me to lose. I don't care. At the end of the day, when my head
Okay, so I think he's sort of onto something here. I guess he's saying that if you want to succeed, you can't really be you can't be dependent on other people supporting your success. I feel like most successful people have had support at least some parts of their life where they needed it. Some more than others. Like even Casey, I think has had a degree of support with his success. I mean, I know he had Brittany functioning as unpaid labor for quite some time, so he definitely had that emotional and even logistic support. Hell, he did that relationship course with her, so she really helped out. Did the edge and his sister, his sister is obviously a big fan of his, and then his other sister did that ad for him, and so there has been, a degree of support. Now, on the other hand, sometimes you might want to go do something, and the people around you, especially if like in entrepreneurship and business, the people around you might be like, well, that's really stupid, don't do it. And maybe they're right. Statistically they probably are. But if you believe in yourself, it's going to make it a lot easier for you to take the types of risks that that facilitate success. But they also, even when other people don't support you, that's definitely true. But it also, being realistic, it makes it more possible or more likely for you to make a mistake that gets you hurt. So, do you absolutely need a strong support structure to be an entrepreneur? No. It's really helpful, and not having it really can be a problem. So I don't want to. I mean, if Casey's dismissing that it's a problem, I would disagree with him. If he's just trying to say you can overcome it, well, I'm all for that, but I'm not sure that he himself has really demonstrated that. He's generally had at least somewhat of a support structure there. But I mean, I think in principle, like in the core, there is good. That like if you really have this sort of true confidence and like a clear understanding of what it is you want to do, you'll go out there and make an attempt to get it done, whether people believe in you or not. And at the end, I mean, you're much better off believing in yourself and having everybody else think you can't do it than the reverse. Having a bunch of people who think you can do it and cheering you on, but you doubt yourself. Not saying that there isn't, necessarily. I mean, I think some self doubt for most people is inevitable, but I think he's onto something. Maybe he's oversimplifying a bit. I I would say that I disagree. It has anything to do with stoicism. However, I do think if you develop the mind in a stoic direction, it will be easier, or be it will make it more easy or more likely or even possible for some people, as opposed to impossible, for you to go out there and be successful without a strong support structure.
My head hits the pillow. I get my stuff done. I actually perform as a man, and I do the hard tasks that it takes. You need to be self-reliant. If you're reliant on anybody, you are now a slave to the outcome of what their mood is that day. See, this is why the guys inside of the Freedom Academy, when they actually get a taste of that, how to start to make money on their own, here's what I know. As soon as they get that first sale or that first conversion, as soon as they actually watch themselves make cash by themselves, I know that a different switch mentally flicks in their head. It's a switch that I felt at age 20 years old when I got my first deal done for just $150. But that $150 that came through, when I watched that go through, I knew damn well I would never work for anybody another day ever again, because I would figure out a way to actually become free. In order to do that, you must be self-reliant. Self-reliant is the first stoic trait that everybody needs, which brings me to point number 2. Okay, point number 2, you need a stable mind with emotional control.
I agree. I have a feeling, knowing Casey, that he's going to say something that either has nothing to do with what he just said or undermines his initial point. But I would agree. I mean, no. Let me. I don't agree. I don't think that you need a stable mind to be attractive, because I don't think that really has too much to do with it, or to succeed in business. And I'm not sure what we're talking about here. Are we talking about succeeding in business, or are we talking about being attractive? Because I feel like we're all over the place. But maybe that's just me getting mixed up. No, I don't think you need a stable mind for either of those things. I do think it helps for both of those things, especially for business. Oops.
Once again, this was inspired by my Twitter. 4 days ago, I put up a tweet. I go, the biggest bullshit question that guys ask is, how do I stop self-doubt to succeed in business? I go, complete bullshit. It doesn't matter if you believe in yourself or if you don't. When your head hits the pillow at night, you either did the work or you didn't. How you feel is irrelevant.
In the great scheme of things, how you feel, yes, that's. I think technically what he's saying is true, but practically, if you don't believe in yourself, if you really think this isn't something I can do, it's going to be difficult to sustain the motivation to do the work. I mean, if you truly didn't believe it, that you could do it, you wouldn't do it. But also, it's going to, entrepreneurship requires a certain element of risk, a certain element of, just do it. Beyond just the work and figuring stuff out. At some point, you actually have to actually do it, and without at least some level of self-belief, it might be hard or even impossible to do just that. Now, I'm trying to think about this from like a stoic point of view, how they would say, I do think that the stoic point of view would probably play down whether there is a tremendous amount of self-belief or not yet. Like somebody like Casey, who just naturally has a lot of self-belief, and I think entrepreneurs in general, that's not going to be an issue for them. But if you're not like that, does that necessarily mean you can't make it as an entrepreneur? Well, I mean, I don't know. I couldn't tell you firsthand. I certainly didn't make it as an entrepreneur. But I think from a Stoic standpoint, would say kind of what Casey did. That first part, that it doesn't really matter if you believe in yourself or not. The question is, are you going to let that? Are you? The issue isn't so much do you have a substantial amount of self-doubt. The issue is, are you going to be able to overcome that self-doubt? So it's not about, let's say you're somebody who doesn't have a lot of confidence or belief that you can succeed. It's not about changing that mindset to making you somebody who's as overconfident as Casey. If you could do that, that would be great because it would make success a lot easier. But that might not necessarily be possible. And certainly it would have nothing to do with Stoicism. However, if you're able to, you could, and this is, I think, more realistic, train the mind to detach from these feelings of self-doubt or put a wall between those feelings and yourself and be able to just kind of work through them. That would be something that Stoic training would help with. So I don't know if that's where Casey's going with this or not. I think he kind of might have a point on this one. I guess he kind of had a point on the last one too. So the problem with the last one was it had nothing to do with Stoicism. But even then, when I thought about it enough, I was able to weed out a kernel in there. So I don't know. I give him partial credit for both so far, I guess.
God, let that sink in for a second. That made me where I am today. That made me a multi-million-dollar business. That made me.
I think grifting desperate guys is what made you a multi-million-dollar business. But yeah, I'm sure Stoicism had something to do with it too.
The type of guy who can give back to you in this format with content. That made me a self-reliant.
Give back? I mean, the only person you've given back to is me because you provided me with content fodder. But what about to the rest of humanity? What have you ever given back? I mean, I think that. I mean, what have you done besides hurt people? Not on purpose. And really, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm trying to be honest about the damage that Casey causes. Even when I really do believe his heart's in the right place. We can say, yeah, his heart's in the right place. Yeah, he's got a lot of admirable traits, but overall, I mean, what he does is it's a bad thing. It's a bad thing for the guys who get involved in it. And yeah, maybe there's some good in it, but I think it's clear that the bad well outweighs the good. Oops.
Reliant, strong individual. The second Stoic trait you must have is a stable mind with emotional control. This tweet was so powerful. Let's read this again. The biggest bullshit question guys ask is, how do I stop self-doubt to succeed in business? It's complete BS. It does not matter if you believe in yourself or if you don't. When your head hits the pillow at night, you either did the work or you didn't. How you feel is irrelevant. For 5 years in a row, half a decade, I had a journal. I had a tasks list. I did the tasks on the list every day before my head hit the pillow. Didn't matter if I...
Yeah, okay, Casey, we get it. You're a German-American spurg from the plains. That's from the northern plains. That's, this is old news, Case. This is where are you going? Actually, I know where he's going with this. He's saying that I journaled out everything that I had to do, and then I went out and did it. Look, dude, great. I mean, I'm not sure that, everybody necessarily needs to implement that level of spurgery to make it. But dude, great. Great. I'm glad it worked, and I think it could be helpful for at least some people. I think it could be really helpful. I don't think it's a bad idea, but it doesn't have anything to do with Stoicism.
matter if I was pissed, didn't matter how I felt, didn't matter if I wanted to do the work, didn't matter if I didn't. Some days I'd wake up and I'd think I'm a complete failure. Other days I'd wake up and think I'm on top of the world. Doesn't matter. Still perform. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I still live and abide by that exact same truth and that same principle today. I don't care how I feel. I will perform. I don't care how I feel. I will do the work needed. I don't care.
Okay, so that really is like some stoicism there. I guess, where, and he hasn't necessarily directly contradicted this, but I feel like there's maybe a problem here with something that comes naturally to him that doesn't with most people. I think this is common with entrepreneurs, that their ability to just power through. When you're working for a boss, you can, generally speaking, I know that there are exceptions, you can go in at least sometimes and just go and phone it in. And you've got your generally some set hours to a degree. I know, again, that varies too, but it's not really like that when you're an entrepreneur. Then it's on you, and if something goes wrong, it's on you, and you're not going to feel like it every day, but you've got to bring it. And if you don't bring it, like I say, if you don't bring it at a job you get paid for, who cares? Like, obviously, if it becomes too much of a habit, you could get a conflict with your boss or lose your job. But whatever. But when it's your business, you need to be on your game all the time, and more or less. And so yeah, you're going to have days where you don't feel like doing it, and you feel like shit, and you still go in and get it done. And beyond just, the showing up, which you can get away with sometimes in the working world. And yes, I think that there is a stoic element of that. Stoic element that I think everybody shows to some degree, which is just kind of, yeah, I feel like crap, but I'm going to go, get the work done anyway. Like I was talking about, maybe like in the previous example, building a wall between yourself and your emotions. And absolutely, stoicism, like a true stoic practice, will help you do just that. But Casey never talks about developing a stoic practice. He just says, just ignore it. Just power through your emotion, power through, your negative emotions and negative feelings. Dude, great. If you can do that, not everybody can. It might be that there could be for a whole variety of reasons that people can't do that. And that's where stoicism could be helpful on a practical level for these types of goals that Casey's talking about. But he never talks about how to actually implement stoicism. He's talking about a result of stoicism, not the actual stoic path.
Care how I feel, I will do what is necessary and what is required. And when you start to operate on that shift and on that paradigm, you can finally start to become full stack. The third thing that you need is ruthless diligence. Ruthless diligence.
Nothing to do with stoicism whatsoever. Again, it's going to be the things, like, you're going to be able to give him partial credit for all of these things because, yes, if you've developed your mind into stoic direction, it will be easier to be diligent. Okay, is that what you want to hear me say? Because it's true. But does being diligent is that a stoic trait? No, it's not. It's good. It's good. Stoicism could help you be diligent. It's not a stoic trait. Okay, no.
Diligence. This is the third stoic trait. Now, because of that, I'm going to share with you a little story from a friend. Okay, this is a friend inside of my Freedom Academy. Okay,
then he's not a friend. He is a client.
This guy has been hustling and hustling and hustling, and he made $600 in one day. He goes, this is wild. I've been focusing on growing my janitorial and house cleaning business, but dang, I need to devote some more time into this movement and marketing. I just saw this conversion go through in my email. This guy was ruthless. He told himself he would start to become financially free. He told himself that he would start.
You see what I mean? about like how Casey's stuff causes harm. So the guy's got a business already, and he was trying to make that work. He's still trying to make that work, and now he's seeing some easy money with this affiliate marketing bullshit. And he's thinking that, oh, well, maybe I need to invest more of my time on that. It's like, dude, fuck that. No, you're paying Casey to be his affiliate marketer, and so yeah, you made $600. Great, good, and I hope you make a lot more. But no, stop this. Stop. Don't put any time into this affiliate marketing nonsense. You've got, what do you say? You got a house cleaning business? Good. You're way ahead of the game. You've got a business. You presumably got clients. Keep working that. That's what you need to be doing. Just like what Cole needed to be doing. Cole's a smart guy, really smart. And he was already at age 20 years old ready to go out and start his own roofing business. That's what he was going to do. And you guys know he would have made it. You guys know Cole would have at least 5, 6, 7 employees by now. If he had started that roofing business last year like he had planned to. But then Big Brother jumps in and says, no, come work for me. And yeah, again, the same caveat I've always said. Has Cole gotten some benefits from working with Casey? Yeah. I think it's helped him learn how to talk to people and deal with people and stuff. So I'm sure that some of these guys in Freedom Academy have gotten some benefits too. But is it worth it? Like, yeah, they learned some stuff, but they're still on, a path. I think they were on a better path beforehand. They were already on the road to success, and this kind of stuff is a distraction, and it's detrimental.
Would start to win. He told himself that come hell or high water, he would get it done. Ruthless diligence as a man is so vitally important. You need to understand this. My whole life, I have been diligent in all ways, shapes, and forms in business, with my body, with fitness, with finances, with learning how to speak the proper way, with developing actual vital.
Learning how to speak the proper way. So I still don't know what he means by that. Does he mean that he's faking his voice? I can't tell. I just can't tell, because if in terms of like eloquence, Casey's pretty bad on that front. I know I'm not one to talk, but the reason I'm not eloquent is, I can say whatever I want, but I know the real reason I'm not eloquent is because of the limits of my IQ. I'm thinking in higher concepts than my brain has the ability to verbalize. I'm not saying that's the only reason, but that's part of it. And Casey is, that's kind of what happens with Casey too. It's just at Casey, it's a whole level lower because his IQ is not very high. 105 at most, maybe more like 100. And which is why he comes off sounding like a complete moron most of the time. And so when he says I've learned how to speak properly, I don't know what he's saying though. Like, because if he means like I learned how to become more eloquent, it's like, well, dude, I can't imagine how ineloquent you must have been before, because you're still not eloquent at all. You're just not a good speaker. Does he mean that like he doesn't say like like, is that what he means? Because if that's what he's talking about, then he's good. Okay, I'll give him credit for that. But if he means he's faking his voice, then that's a huge mistake. I don't think he is. I really don't, but I'm not positive. And if he means to become eloquent, well, he just didn't succeed in that because he's still not.
Vital content for this channel, you have to be diligent. Diligent means that every single day you put in the work no matter how you feel. Diligence means that you don't give up. Diligence means that you are able to hustle, you are able to work, you are able to grind in order to learn the competency skills needed, so that way one day you can work smarter, not harder. See, guys, when they're so early, they want to learn how to start to work smarter to get ahead when they have not yet learned how to work hard. That does not work. Do you understand this? You have to go through
I think he kind of has a point on this one. I think that and this would be, I would say, like, with entrepreneurship, based on my own experiences with it and what I've read from other people, there is and I'm not telling you to go out and just do it, but there is a big just do it thing. And if you go out there and just do it, what you are going to do is waste a tremendous amount of time because you're going to have no idea what you're doing. So your work is going to be extremely inefficient until you figure out what you're doing. It's going to be inefficient, and you're probably going to lose money in the beginning, or at least not make money in the beginning. And it could last for a while before things finally start to work. And everybody's results are going to be different. So as opposed to another thing, but whereas if you want to just say start at the beginning and try to avoid all of that, try to say okay, I'm going to plan everything out from the beginning. I think you're much more likely to run into paralysis by analysis, and you might be better off just winging it and then developing a plan as you go or as you've developed experience, as opposed to trying to plot everything out in advance. Although again, I think it would depend to an extent on your personality type. So I think I know what Casey's trying to say here. I don't think it really has anything to do with stoicism or with being attractive, but I guess he kind of has a point.
A period of suffering. You have to go through a period where you are so diligent and you are so resilient to any of the BS that the world throws at you, you know that you can overcome it. Diligence means that you don't give up, even if times get hard. If you tell yourself, I will never give up and I will never quit, it is impossible to fail. You're constantly making progression, and every speed bump that puts you on a setback is overcame maybe after a day, a week, a month, or a couple months later. You overcome that speed bump because you didn't give up. Life is long if you let it be.
Oh no, more ads.
Are you missing out on having the best sex of your life? That's right, sex. Orgasms.
These are the mindset shifts that you need as a man to start to actually perform, which brings me to point number 4. The fourth stoic trait that you need is the appreciation to suffer. Every single day that I suffer, that I suffer trying to develop, that I suffer growing my brand, that I suffer trying to become free, that I suffer in all ways, shapes, and forms, that I've suffered over the years. Everybody suffers. That's the only way you get to where you are. If you admire me, or you admire this channel, or you admire any influencer, you admire somebody that you look up to, I don't care. They got to that point through suffering. Every single day I have an appreciation that I even have the opportunity to suffer. I say, thank you, God, for even giving me an opportunity on this day to be alive, to chase my goals and to chase my dreams. You, my friend, are not appreciative enough. You think that you're a victim. You think that you're dealt a bad.
Oh, man. In the absolute sense, I agree with him. I agree that suffering, when it's over completely, no, including the post-traumatic stress thing. If you're dealing with any post-traumatic stress or bitterness from it, it's not really over. You're still suffering to some extent. When it's completely over, that you have been improved. I know a lot of people don't like that idea. But I do think that when it's done, when it's finished, you can say, yes, you benefited from it. However, I mean that only in an absolute sense. I do not mean that in a worldly sense, which is what I'm confident that Casey means it as. So we'll just use an example. Let's say that what happened to Christopher Reeves happened to you. Became a paraplegic. And this was a guy who was on top of it. He was super Chad, fame, money. He had a wife and kids who he apparently didn't care about that much, but a wife and kids nonetheless. He had it all. Then, that horrible accident, he becomes a paraplegic. And he suffered a lot. He'll be the first to tell. He won't. He's not longer with us, but when he was alive, he had mentioned he had suffered a lot from it. And in fact, initially he had asked his wife to kill him, and it was she said she would do it, but like due to the finality of it, she said we gotta talk about it first. We gotta stay up tonight and talk about it. And at the end of the night, if you still want to do it, yeah, I'll put you out of your misery. And but she managed to talk him into staying alive. And then he said that, like, you know, the amount of suffering he did over the next decades and stuff was horrible. I mean, obviously, you know, being a paraplegic. But that to him, he's like, you know, if the only way, you know, I could walk again would be to go back to being the person who I was before the accident, no, I wouldn't do it. And so he's somebody who the suffering he went through really did cause him to grow and develop as a person. But we only mean that in an absolute sense, not in a worldly sense. In a worldly sense, he got nothing whatsoever out of his suffering. In fact, things got worse. You know, I mean, I guess he got some more stat. He got some more stats. He got to become like a hero and stuff. But I don't think he really cared about that. I don't think. Not. Who cares if you're like a hero? You're a cultural hero. If you're a paraplegic, right? So yeah, maybe there was like some worldly success status he got from it, but not as much as he would have got it. But continuing to be in movies, I don't know if he was still active in movies then, and bang groupies and do whatever he was doing. You know, living the good life. So Casey seems to be saying that worldly success comes from suffering, and no, I don't think that's true. I think that there's almost always some degree of suffering to achieve worldly success, but sometimes it will be very small relative to speaking it. You know, most NFL players, those NFL stars, yeah, they've I'm sure they've suffered. They've had, you know, some suffering and stuff, but even something like a hard workout can be considered a type of suffering. But it not like necessarily like soul crushing, horrible suffering or, you know, debilitating suffering. That kind of suffering is usually, I think, not going to bring you worldly success. And even the non-crushing types of suffering, the type of suffering, the sort of, let's just call it minor suffering, that Casey's talking about, even that minor suffering is just because you did it doesn't mean you're going to have worldly success. I think that for most people who succeed, success, yeah, there was suffering, for lack of a better word, involved, but to them, success came relatively, just relative to everybody else, I mean, relatively easy. Like even Casey, hard work, failure, self-doubt, had to, that had to deal with a lot of stuff relative to what other people have felt trying to make it as entrepreneurs. Casey probably felt less than most people. And remember, most new businesses fail. 90% of new businesses fail. So you can't just say that, oh, because you're suffering, that means that it's going to be success on the other end, or that the degree you suffer determines the degree of success. No, it doesn't work like that.
A bad hand. You think that somebody owes you something, and because of that, you are never able to put in the work to suffer yourself and realize that there is beauty in that suffering. And here's why. When you have suffered, here's what happens. You could take all of the materialistic things away from myself or from another person like me. You could take all of the successes away. You could take everything. And I am still left with the same work ethic, the same traits, and I could rebuild anything that I needed to like that because I've developed the skill sets needed.
Okay, well, what if you were in an economy? What if we didn't just do that? What if we changed your body too? What if we made you 4'6", and so you don't look the same? And what if, you know, we had like some brain injury, so all of a sudden you lost 10 IQ points? Would you still be able to succeed then? What if we put you in a country where there wasn't as much economic opportunity? You know, your success came from grifting guys who had disposable income. In Haiti, there's not as many people with that disposable income. Would you still have succeeded? What if, we gave you a debilitating disease that, made it hard for you to think straight? Are you still going to succeed now? I'm not trying to take anything away from you. I'm trying to say that, yes, we could take away your money and your intellectual property, and you could rebuild it. Yeah, I know that, and that's good. And I know that's also only the point you're trying to make, which is a legitimate point, by the way. But it's also a somewhat incomplete point. And the reason that I bring it up mainly is because this video is supposed to be about stoicism. And stoicism is something that you would really realize and internalize just that. And I don't think that you have.
You must put an emphasis on those skill sets, which is why I bring that to point number 4. And point number 5 is you have a duty to perform. A stoic man has a duty to performance.
No, nothing to do with stoicism whatsoever. And I think I don't even really remember what number 4 was, but something about suffering being good. Yeah, well, whatever. I think we've addressed that enough. No. Stoicism wouldn't say that. Stoicism. I mean, in certain situations, yes. Like if you have like a family, you have a certain level of duty towards that family. Or if you're if you're a business owner, you have this level of duty to your clients, and if you're an employee, you have a level of duty to the person who's paying you. All that's true. Nothing to do, but beyond that, just some general duty to perform, which is, now I'm not going to watch the rest of the video, so I'm just assuming that that's what he means, because it's Casey. I can usually just assume the worst and I'll be right. No, nothing to do with stoicism whatsoever. Nothing to do with stoicism. And I'm not even sure it's correct. In fact, I am sure it's not correct. So it not only has nothing to do with stoicism, and it's not true. So I know we gave Casey partial credit for a couple of those, so I'm going to have to give Casey an F for this video. I think it's really bad. And I think Casey should stop making these videos. That's all for now, and I'll see you in the next.